What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 363 of Opinions May Vary. I am your host, JR. I have my co-host with me, Alex.
Hello.
How's it going? How are you?
I'm good.
It's a beautiful, brisk Friday night. We're here to chat with a new friend, someone we've been admiring from afar behind our computer screens for a couple months now. Joining us over.
It's been a year for me.
A year for you held out on me. But joining us over the Skype machines, the interwebs, is Jason Ginsburg, aka the moderator. There's a lot of things that Jason does, but the thing we know him from is at Fake Theme Park on Facebook. One of the most fun, and we're gonna get into why it's so fun in a little bit. But Jason, thank you so much for coming on.
Oh, it's my pleasure to be here.
Alex, I'm gonna dump this on you again. And I imagine you saw this one coming, maybe.
So it was sometime around last year during Halloween into the Christmas season when one of my friends had shared a post from Fake Theme Park. And this friend is an acquaintance from our local theme park that we've worked at in the past, and I still do Halloween stuff at. And it was really fun, and it was funny, and it made me look at the rest of what happens on this page. And then more of my friends saw it, and they wanted to see more. And so at least 30 of us that I know from just our department now follow this page. And that's just on Facebook, as we said. He's also on Twitter, and it's been a lot of fun, and a lot of the things hit close to home. And even though it gets pretty ridiculous, we still nod and go, "Yeah, that's possible."
Yep.
So we're talking to the guy behind it right now, and that's this. It's going to be a lot of fun.
We briefly touched on it just before we started, but I think it would probably be prudent. Jason, you have theme park experience. It sounds like a decent amount under your belt. So all of this information that is on these pages sounds like it's coming from experience, correct?
Yes, I was at Universal Studios Hollywood. It is actually, thinking back, the longest job I ever held, the longest time at a single company. A record I hope to break one of these days. But yes, I was not only a theme park employee and then various things apart from being a tour guide, but also met my wife, a fellow tour guide, in the break room at the studio tour. So I have, if nothing else, I have Fake Theme Park and my wife to thank for Universal. But I really have a lot of fond feelings for it and other theme parks. So a lot of this comes from a place of love, sort of a love-hate relationship that a lot of us have with our favorite parks.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm going to agree. There's a lot of poking fun and making fun of, but I was just a groomsman in a wedding for a friend that I met at our theme park.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've made some of my best friends there, and I still go back because I like it so much. So this is by no means like we just hate theme parks or amusement park. It's not that. It's just the experience is what makes this page
It's satire. Fun. It's satirical, and it's just one of those, you just get it. Because yes, like every job has their downsides. Mm-hmm. Even if you have the greatest job in the world, you can still have a lousy day, or something weird can happen. And if we're gonna gush about it, I only spent 2 years at our local theme park, and it was somewhat like, again, to reiterate, that's where I met Alex, the man sitting across from me, and like 99% of my closest friends that I have right now, and similar to you, Jason, I also have my wife that I met through the theme park. And it was one of the best jobs I ever had in terms of just people. And like, it also was fun because we worked in the shows department, so we got to entertain, and it was a really cool place. And it was nice, not a bad place to spend your summer. Like, you get to spend it at an amusement park. Like, when I was growing up, it's like, oh my God, we're going to the amusement, like, this is the greatest day ever. And then you got to work there. But it was good times.
If I can dial it back to when you decided to start making these tweets and posts and making these posts, did you know you were going to run for this long? Or like, was it just, this is something I'll try out for a month or so until I run out of material? Or did you know, like, I have endless material where I could go on for years with this?
I don't know if I thought it would go on. We're going on, it was 2010. So they were closing, not too far away from a decade. I don't think I could maybe thought, I think once I got past the initial few months, I thought I really could do this regularly. I think my idea was this could become something. I think the model, which we all should get out of our heads, is not going to happen again. But shit, my dad says. I don't know if I can say bleep that. Stuff my dad says, which was eventually a sitcom with William Shatner, began as a Twitter.
Yeah.
Period.
Yep.
It wasn't a sitcom pilot. It was anything. It was a Twitter first. So I thought maybe there's some way this could lead to some kind of writing jobs. I tried to write. I was trying to be an actor as well. And I thought it might open up some opportunities for me. And it has in a different way than I thought. Obviously, I'm not on TV, but appearing on podcasts like yours is a pleasure and is fun and it helps on the resume. And some people learn about it. So I that much. But when I first started doing it, I really just thought, no one is doing something like this. Why don't I try it based on my experience? And then here we are, across the country even, from back when I was living in LA at the time.
I see so many posts come up. Even like when I first discovered it, I was thinking like, oh, he maybe does one a day. And now I'm seeing like maybe 4 or 5 or more per day that Facebook allows to show me, because who knows how much they decide isn't worth showing us.
And you're not on Twitter, so.
Yeah.
Yep.
And are you ever, like, I know there's comedians who do sets and they know what their set's going to be. But is there a point where you're like, did I repeat this joke already? Or is this new material? Or am I rehashing something I've already done? Do you have to keep track, or do you ever get worried about like what if you're making something new?
Somewhat. I do use Twitter's archive function, which does list out all your tweets. I don't know if you can do that on Twitter. You can request it. It takes a day or two, and they give you basically a spreadsheet. You can do a spreadsheet or an HTML, and then sort and search that way. So I do dig into the archives. As something if a Valentine's Day joke did well in 2016, what is the harm? I have one chance every year to run it. Why not run it February 14th, 2019 as well? So but I try to keep things new. Things are always changing. When I first started this, Disney did not have Marvel, did not have Star Wars. So that changed everything. I can make an occasional Star Wars joke because of things like Star Tours. But now, the whole Star Wars park coming, whole area. So that changes. That allows for different jokes that I could do before. As things go, like there's things like Disney Plus, the digital streaming service coming. That's something that in 2010 no one thought of. So I tried it. I think it's a good mix of classics, shall we say. If you've been following the park for a long time, you might see some repeats. But people, as you say, the algorithm doesn't show everyone everything. Followers come and go. There's only so many jokes you can make about St. Patrick's Day, for example. So I feel like I'm allowed to, at this point now, occasionally dip back into the archives and do a classic post with occasional changes.
What I tend to forget is that I hear, like, I'm thinking it's just theme park. And what I lose time to time is that, like, if it's based off Disneyland or if it's based off a park with media properties, then there's also movies and there's soundtracks. So Princess Rainbow also has her own series of movies or a series of songs and whatnot. And you get to add these into your posts. And every time those come up, I go, oh yeah, because how many Disney princesses have their own things and media and it's like, yeah, now is also your chance to make up superhero characters for some reason.
It's an enormous well of material.
Yeah, it really is an entire. It's things. Yeah, since I've started, it has changed. As I said, where they've added on these properties. So yes, I can now make jokes about Oscar nominations, which just happened the Oscars, and yes, the Tonys and the Grammys are now fodder because that turned into eventually a real world piece of content that was a music video. I actually had a princess do a parody of a princess song that seemed appropriate. Not everything can be done in 140, now 280 characters, or whatever Facebook allows. So I've occasionally even dipped outside of that to show to better parody some of these things. You can't not have a princess song, so I had to do that as well. But yeah, you're right. There's a lot affiliated. Universal at one point, the owner Edgar Rothman owned an arena football team, the LA Avengers. Google this. I'm not making this up. So there's all kinds of, and obviously Universal was Universal Music at the time. Yeah, it's these things are getting larger and larger. It's kind of frightening. I work at a media company that is sort of independent, and it has some advantages, I think, over these giant companies in some ways, and a lot of disadvantages in others.
That I do enjoy that song, by the way.
Oh, thank you. I wrote just the lyrics. I must give credit to Brandon Sturial, who wrote the music.
She hits some. I don't know. I'm not a singer. I'm not good at music stuff, but it seemed like some of those notes she was hitting for the time she was doing them seemed difficult. And I applaud.
Respect.
Yeah.
I'll pass that along. That's Diana Sharber, who played Princess Peppercorn. I will pass that along to her if she's not listening.
I also appreciate the video of the world's longest escalator, which is one of the rides in the park.
So that was based on the Universal Starway escalator, the giant escalator at Universal Studios Hollywood, which I rode a lot because I was a VIP guide. So I was in the park going to attractions with guests along with doing the tram tour. So I rode that thing with people, with guests, and it's sort of an awkward moment being with these people that you're with for 6 hours a day. I mean, you're with them all day, but just sort of stuck there. Lovely views of the valley, but otherwise you're just listening to this audio as you go up these full escalators. People who have been know what I mean. It is a huge, the way it's connecting the theme park at the top, basically with the lower lot of the studio at the bottom. So it had to be parodied. It's just so ridiculous. So that is my voice on the, you say video, really it's just me talking and a still image. So I can put it on YouTube. But yeah, I hope people do check that out. That is a labor of love, that escalator experience.
With the amount of content that you put out, is this stuff that you might think of while you're out and about or like at the grocery store or something, and like do you have to save it for later, or the technology that we have now where you could just tweet it over your phone, like do you immediately put it out, or do you think like, well, I have to work on
I need
this
to
a bit?
sculpt this needs to be
I do. I believe, as someone with a background in comedy, I believe in crafting a joke. Like, it was 140 characters. It really was important. There's certain rules I stick to, putting the funniest word, the joke punchline should be at the end. Anything that comes after the joke is wasted words, things like that. That I didn't invent these. Everyone knows these. But I do. I will do drafts a little bit. I'll bounce things off my wife, who I trust a whole bunch, and some of the best tweets have come from her help of how to phrase this or how to sort of find the joke. It's just what I'm trying to say, but I can't quite say it the right way, or it's just too long. So yeah, I do, and I use a scheduler. I use Hootsuite, not to endorse them, but I do, so I can, while at work, I do a few tweets in the morning, and that goes for the entire day. If there's nothing happens that needs me to alter it, if some newsworthy event happens, I have to change the evening tweet. But yeah, I do think of these things all the time. I think about just walking around the park and what's happening, and obviously things. I know this, but Fake Theme Park's incoming feed on Twitter and Facebook is other park news. So I'm following. People seem to be occasionally confused that I'm up on park news. But that's what the Fake Theme Park account is getting in. That's who I follow. So I do see what's happening on the blogs, on podcasts, on both the official park sites and all the various fan sites. So that helps inform what's going on in the theme park world.
Did you start off as a fan of parks in general, or did this spawn mostly just from your work experience, or was it like, no, I'm a fan of Disney and Universal and other parks and whatnot, and this is the experience that I have to put towards this?
Yeah, I am a fan. I'm a fan of Disney and Universal unabashedly. I was born and raised in Dallas, and the local park there is the original Six Flags over Texas, and I did not like it at all. Roller coasters are not my thing. I don't know if that's an inner ear issue or something about me, but anything that goes fast and drops, I do not enjoy. So I really didn't go there much. It was only when I got to LA for college and a few family trips, and then afterwards, after college, I stayed. That I really went to the parks a lot and just fell in love with them. Those simulators, I can do simulator rides all day. Those were great, but real coasters, I've done Space Mountain once. I've done Jurassic Park once. That is it. Never again.
But hey, you've done them. You can say you've done them. One's all you need. Who needs more?
I have a picture.
I am very curious about, because you mentioned that you were a VIP guide. So you mentioned you're with these people for 6 hours at a time, upwards of, like, so you're, what's the, I want to know more about this VIP guide. What's the deal with that?
Yeah, happy to endorse that. It still exists at the park. It's now a lot more money. I think you get lunch as part of the deal. But yes, it's sort of it's kind of like flying first class, I guess. So rather than get an entry to the park and then get on the regular tram tour that's 45 minutes, you are on a private vehicle, a little trolley. And the big thing, so half the day is the park where I walk you to the front of the line to the major attractions and schedule based whatever the schedule is for that day. We do the major things like Water World, but it would depend on what was running, how much time we had, and how like the park was open. I just released people after that, and they could do whatever they wanted with their passes. But the studio part was fantastic, and still is. You have a trolley, and you can stop and get off. You can walk around the back lot. You can touch the sets. We went into the front lot. We went into the sound department, the prop department. You would occasionally see people working. Occasionally celebrities. It was really fantastic. We had to go inside a soundstage, walk around the back lot, and make various stops. So you had about 2 hours in the studio, an hour for a meal, and 3 hours in the park. Was about how we broke it down. And it's whatever the trolley could hold, which was 16 people at the time. And it'd be you and other people. So it'd be, several families all put together. People could occasionally buy out the whole thing. So we would get celebrities to do that, or Saudi royals and people like that. Big names would have their own private experience. But often it was just families put together from all over the world who were stuck together for 6 hours with me and a driver for a couple hours. So yeah, it's great. It's a lot of money, but especially if you're movie buff and you're in LA, really that's not only getting in front of the line, which is worth it in itself, but really that 2 hours in the studio, especially on a weekday. A few things are closed on the weekends. But if you're there during the week, it's really great.
With our smallish park, we've had friends move on and go south and go to Disney and get jobs there. And one of them, she got her you get special pins at Disney when you can be the tour guide. And so she finally got her pin, and she was giving tours. And what she was taught and trained, it's like if some of the celebrities come by, some of them tip real good.
Trade secret.
So it's like they would fight over who gets Adam Sandler because he tips the best, is what I've heard. You don't have to cop to that.
So celebrities, I've had a half dozen, maybe that are major celebrities, and most of them, I think maybe all of them, did tip me, and sometimes even the driver, which was really kind of often they do it at the end of the tour when it was me in the park with them for several hours. The driver's long gone. Occasionally they made a point of tipping the driver, which I think was to their credit. So yeah, some celebrities. Yes, sometimes it's great to be with them. It's extra pressure. If they have their own entourage with them, it can be a pain. But yeah, certainly it stands out. It's different than just having the same, having families who are occasionally are duds.
Do you get
some groups are great and some are not.
Did you get repeats, like families that would do it like more than once or all the time?
Yes, occasionally people would ask for me. What a great compliment that was. I've had maybe 3 or 4 of those in my years there. Huh. People did remember me and specifically ask as opposed to not get me. Because people, you might be a day that I'm not even working, or I'm working at the tram tour, not at the VIP tour. But yes, occasionally we would get the same folks, which was obviously a huge compliment. So I was happy to do that.
I think what I really respect the most about that is the fact that like you got to be on. Like, okay, it's time to go to work. I gotta perform. Like, because when the jobs that I did, like I was mainly backstage for the most part. Or maybe doing 4 or 5 shows a day, depending on what I was in. Like I could go into the wing and make stupid faces and get mad at people for being dumb and not reacting the way I wanted them to something that when we were performing. But like when you're a guide and you're with these people throughout their entire experience, and like you gotta be on. You gotta be. It doesn't matter if you're having a bad day because these people paid a shitload of money, if you'll excuse my language, to come see all the sights and stuff. And so I got to say, I respect that, man. That's not everyone could do that.
Thank you. I agree. It can be exhausting when you're there. It was over 100 degrees sometimes in the valley, and it was tough because you really could. As part of the tram tour, after a while, my wife and I keep talking about this. You could put on sunglasses. And if you knew who the driver was, what kind of speed they were going, you could do the whole thing with your eyes closed. You could really give it half effort and just do it by rote. And people would still have a good enough time. You can still fake your voice. I mean, a lot of people are actors. You can fake enthusiasm. And if you're not that great, Jaws is still great. King Kong is still great. You're seeing a real movie studio. That's still awesome. And you give a pretty satisfactory tour with people with you on a trolley. And there's 10 of them and just you. There's no. And they're asking questions, and you're walking around with them. Luckily, that was a better experience in a lot of ways. You're in control. You tell the driver when to stop, and you're walking around these real, the studio speaks for itself. So it was easy to make a great experience most of the time. Things would break down. Park had its own weird rules. Things would get down for refurbishment, and then you're stuck. Then you're the representative for the entire park. So yes, I agree. Being with people for 6 hours, hopefully it's a good group and you can have fun. It's not even like working. You're having fun walking around a studio in a theme park, and they give you money at the end, and you're already getting paid an extra rate as well as being a VIP guy. So when it was a bad day and bad weather and people were not happy, it just was horrible.
Wow.
Are there any like hidden gem like along the tour? Like, yeah, there's like you mentioned Jaws and King Kong and all the great. Are there any like hidden secrets or gems that like maybe not everyone would know about but think would be really rad that that would be neat if they found out about?
It's tough. Nothing. The lot's been used in so many things. If they could play videos and show you some things. I know there was a problem once we got video. I actually started the tour before there were videos. I'm going to date myself. It was still just a CD audio at the time. We had to be trained for the video. So some things that would not allow you to, like there's a big backdrop at the end of the tour with a place for water in front of it that was used for the very end of the Truman Show, where the boat hits the wall and Truman actually sees the end of his world there. And it was not a Universal film. It's Paramount, and they would not allow Universal to have that footage to promote their own film, to promote themselves. There was some issue with that. So occasionally you'll think, oh, is this in something? And the answer is yes, but we can't. I think like Transformers as well. The whole end of Transformers is New York Street. They call it Canyon City or something. That whole giant battle at the end is that whole length of New York Street. But I believe it's not Universal, so I don't know if any of that footage makes it. Again, I have not given a tour in a while. Maybe now it's the centerpiece of the video on the tour. But nothing jumps out at me. Some of the older things, I think occasionally tour guides think about only the new stuff, thinking the audience only cares about that. But Little Europe, used for the monster movies, that to me is still very cool. That goes back, we're closing in on 100 years now. Some films, I guess, from the 30s, so we're not too far from that the monsters did walk around Little Europe. That's pretty cool. And now used for The Good Place on TV, now. That's quite a history there. I hope the tour guides point that out.
That is pretty cool. I'd be psyched.
Yeah, I couldn't even fathom being like, because like I don't consider myself like a movie buff or anything like that, but I like to think that I can appreciate like people, 70, 80 years ago were making movies here. Like, can you imagine me like an extra on The Good Place? Like, and realize like the weight of where you are. Like, oh yeah, cool. I'm on a TV show. I'm also standing in the same place where like, yeah, this stuff was first birthed, like, and it's still, that kind of stuff blows my mind when like you get down and think about it. It's just, that's really neat. It's really neat.
Yeah, I agree. And everyone thinks the Orlando park is better. Yeah, it's gigantic, but Universal Hollywood is the real studio. That's one thing going for it.
It's like they have the soundstage set up just for the show, for the tour to come through, but they're not actually making shows there. I guess that would.
Oh, in Orlando?
Yeah, that would mess me up. I think if it's like to have to compare the two and being like, oh, here's our fake soundstage where you rattle the metal sheet to make some thunder. Good job, kid. Moving on.
Yes, Cinemagic.
I did get to go to way back in the day, the one of two times that I've ever been to Florida. Back when it was still a thing, we did get to go through Nickelodeon Studios. Back before it was converted into like it's like office buildings or something now, but like we did get to go through and like I saw the set of Clarissa Explains It All, and there was like the preliminary sets for All That, because All That wasn't a thing yet. It was remember Nickelodeon's like SNL, like but I still remember thinking like that it's just really neat to see like the things that you see, because it's really easy to think like, oh, it's just on TV. TV is not real, but like no, it's got to happen somewhere. But now it's office buildings, and the Gat Geyser is gone. But it lives on in nostalgic people like myself's hearts. But anyways, enough about Nickelodeon. I want to talk more about fake theme park.
Do you know, like, are you able to track who of your followers, or like, have you been able to glean like maybe a percentage who are also former employees of theme parks, or who are just also fans, or who are just muggles, I guess, who like, this seems fun?
Yeah, I think the most, if nothing else, the most vocal and fervent fans seem to be the ones who are current or former employees. You can see it, especially in Facebook, people tagging each other. So why would they be tagging each other, talking about a cast member joke if it wasn't something that they actually went through. So that seems to be, I love this to be, it's a general interest. You don't have to, if you're listening right now and don't give a damn about theme parks, I think it's still funny just to the general public, but I cannot deny that the biggest chunk of people are this is underserved audience of people like, oh, this guy knows what I've been through or I'm still going through. So yeah, it's definitely a theme, sort of a niche site in some ways.
Mm-hmm.
I like it because it's like any other theme park. We were always taught to maintain the illusion. And I feel like from what I've seen from the page, it maintains the illusion. It's never like, you don't see like an LOL or like a haha in the tweet. Like, look at my joke. Even the location is on brand. Like when you go to Twitter, when you look at the location, like, oh, Dallas, Texas, or Orlando, Florida, it says the location is just a full day's drive away. Like, it's perfect because, and immediately everyone is like, yeah, that's exactly where it is.
Okay. To track this with what you're saying, the first time I messaged him was a couple months back about an unrelated topic, but Facebook has like, you can ask fake theme park questions relating to theme parks.
Sure.
And
absolutely. So anyone can, please do.
And like one of the like the pre-prescribed questions that you could just click yes on and have it send was like, how is parking today? And I'm like, this can't be a real thing. And then I'm asking him what parking is like, and I'm like, now I feel like a douchebag. Like I'm bothering this man over a fake question. but yeah, it's nice how on brand it is. It's fun.
Yeah, I have some experience with this. I have experience in social media and branding, for that matter. So that is I am proud. I thank you for bringing that up, because I take pride in not winking. And there's if you just go to like the Twitter and look at even the replies, everything I do is hopefully a joke. It's a joke. Hopefully it's funny. It isn't just me. It always seems odd to me personally. I can't speak for anyone else. If I see something like a Twitter that's theme park times, theme park review, and the tweet is, I'm going to get waffles today. Like, well, who's I? How the theme park times is this grand, huge endeavor. It's some kind of blog or journalistic endeavor. Who's I? So you never see fake theme park ever speak in the singular that way. I mean, it's never me. It's never me, Jason Ginsburg. It's always the park responding to you. Whatever the question is, whatever it's saying. If I don't have a joke, I won't respond. And what's the point?
Right.
If you want to do it privately, it's different. But if it's some kind of if you want to play with me publicly, I'm happy to do it. But yeah, there's never a time where I explain the joke or have to back off the joke or anything. It's just jokes. They're 100% jokes. Even the replies, if I reply to you, whether it's private or I'm retweeted or something. Because it always seems odd to me when a brand, big or small, starts to talk about, well, it's just one person. Well, there goes the illusion. So theme park times is one guy. Well, then you're not really the theme park times. It's just you. Might as well just use your real name.
Right.
That is Jason Ginsburg's personal opinion. I don't know if that deals with how you use your Twitter or others and your listeners, but that's always bothered me from a branding standpoint.
Even when you talk about Jimmy Jaguar, and it's like, it's not always the actor inside Jimmy Jaguar, even because, like, as JR said, it was great ingrained in us. For example, Spider-Man. We're not going to ask who's playing Spider-Man today. We're not going to ask who's wearing Spider-Man's mask today. That's Spider-Man. And if a guest tries to get winky with us, we go, look, maybe like Venom knows that he's Peter Parker, but I can't say that to you. And like, even then, we're just going to play up the illusion. And I cool. Like how you do that, but then also the only times you step outside of that is when you do like casting notices. And it's like in like your list of like needs for who to audition for a princess and like the whole list that goes into that. And I think one of my favorites was a criminal conviction is required to work in the haunted maze or something like that.
Yeah, I think the joke is a lot of both the mazes. I think Christmas too. Well, certainly Halloween. It's prisoners on work release. It's sort of the joke that it's all various inmates who qualify to work outside the prison for a limited amount of time. That joke seems obvious, but yeah, I thank you for pointing that out. If I ever want to do anything that is not on brand, it isn't part theme park, then there's me. Now that I'm not anonymous anymore, if I had to go in and say something, and occasionally I certainly like my own tweets and posts just to get the algorithm going. Yep. I don't usually comment. I don't usually do anything because you're not talking to me. Mm-hmm. Who wants to? If you want to message me privately like you did and talk about an interview, that's different. But in public, I'm not funny. The park is what you want to talk to.
And I've noticed I haven't seen any like terribly cringy comments yet, and everyone want to play along. And one of my favorite examples was just the other day when you asked if anyone's on Instagram, can you please take a picture of whichever ride is on fire right now? and there were some good replies, and then there was almost a theme of like, yeah, but like volcano coasters frozen for some reason. It's like they were doing the opposites.
Yeah, yes, yes, I like when people do seem to be in the park and tweeting from the park or posting from the park. That seems like we're all part of the fun together. When I try, this is just for me, I guess, there is a canon to the park. There are, as you maybe you've noticed, there are recurring characters, a recurring ride. I don't think about new every single day. There's been Chaos Coaster forever. Usually they're alliteratives of Volcano Voyage, Ocean Odyssey, et cetera, et cetera. So those people seem to know them and then refer to them. So I think that's we all can sort of build this world together and know that it does exist. And I know the 4 main princesses. I occasionally make up new ones just for a joke, but it's the same 4 with the same relationships. Jimmy Jaguar, of course, is my version of Mickey Mouse, so he's in everything. I take great pride in that. That it is it's like almost like writing a novel, except by the end of the day, I don't have a novel. I have this for all of my years of work, this world that exists only on social media. So yeah, people feel free to learn. There's lists and things where you can learn the various rides and shows and things like that if it matters to you. But I use the same ones over and over again, so it is a consistent theme park experience.
I'm a fan of the recurring Princess Wars, when a princess will try to depose the other one and take its place, and then they get the throne back. Those are always fun to me.
Yeah, the princesses are very popular, as not unexpected.
Kind of this might be another brilliant segue, if I do say so myself. Another there's like the self-awareness, but also not taking yourself too sick, because like you even posted like our ebook's latest reviews, and it's this book pokes fun at rides, characters, and entertainment in a very tongue-in-cheek way, 5 stars. And then another review is just a series of trite sayings someone thought were amusing, no narrative. So glad I didn't waste my money on this. 1 star. And then with a link to to where you can snag it. So obviously I want to talk about the book, and also like, respect for just, like taking it in stride and still like, yeah, thank you for the 1-star review. I'm actually going to use this now. This is mine now.
You've become material.
So
is there a question in there? I'm sorry.
We're really good at asking non-questions. But let's talk about the book. Now, does the book include canon? What's the deal with this? What's going on with this book here?
Well, yes. So you may not believe this, but I don't make any money off of my daily efforts to entertain the world. It's great. I get a lot of pleasure from it. Whenever I get to talk to people in person like you, it is a delight, since everything on Twitter is just kind of silent, being just, in text. So I thought of some way to not only to make some money, but also to share this with people that are maybe not on social media or want a different way of experiencing it. Because you really can't, believe me, it's hard going to Twitter and scrolling. Facebook's even worse.
Yeah.
Facebook does not want you really going too far back in time. So is there some way to kind of compile the best of with new material? So this is some categories of that are very popular. Not all of them. So there's room for a book 2 and a book 3. Christmas makes the list, but not Halloween, for example. Halloween is probably coming sometime this year or next year. But it is so it's some categories that do well as some things written just for the ebook. So you can only see it. It's not posted anywhere else. It does give you some value. It is $5 on Kindle only on the Kindle store. If you have Kindle Unlimited, then it costs you nothing because you have a subscription. You can get whatever you want. So if you already have Kindle subscription, you might as well. $0, 0 cents.
$0.
Look at the ebook.
It's hard to argue.
You can't beat that. And then you give me 5-star review for how cheap it was. So yeah, it's a different way to kind of experience the park. To cover some areas, the princesses get a whole section that is brand new. The CEO Murph Cantley has a foreword as well. There's interspersed with some new stuff along with the best of these popular categories over all these years.
So when you say best of, and you had said like these got good hits or good, enough likes or good reviews, is it difficult to edit yourself and be like, well, I think this was a good one, so I'm going to put it in, versus, this one performed really well and got a lot of shares, so this should go in. And how do you weigh the two of those options?
Yeah, it was a mixture of both. There were jokes that like, I'm determined to get this, make this successful, which does not, with knowing my comedy experience, does not always work. But yeah, as you can tell, obviously there's Twitter has in their interest to give you a pretty good idea with likes and retweets and replies of what does well. So it is a mixture of things that are, there are ones like off the top of my head, when the next big holiday comes around, I know what's going to do well. That just always hits an audience that I'm happy to keep sharing it. If people get bored of it, well, there's a new batch of followers who are not bored of it yet, so they want to experience it too. So it's some of that is some of me going, I think this is funny. It makes me laugh, my wife laughs, so let's put it out there.
Have you had any fans get angry or like not like one of your jokes or one of your posts and do the obligatory like, I'm offended by this?
Occasionally, very occasionally. People should get, well, obviously it's clearly a comedy account. I think my humor is on the correct side of the line. There are things I won't joke about. There are times I'm making a point. Mm-hmm. I'm seeing. I try to give to everyone. Maybe that's a way to answer your question. That this is not. Oh, theme park employees making fun of those stupid guests. Right. It's not some kind of like angry waiter blog where all the waiters talk about how they hate customers. That's not this. Because first of all, I'm still and now forever will be a guest myself. So there's no point to that. It's everyone. It is the corporations, the managers, the unions, the performers, certainly the guests. Tram drivers, why should they be spared? I had to deal with them for all these years. So hopefully that people can see there's a fairness. It isn't like, well, this guy clearly has this agenda. Well, it's just, do I? It's just theme parks are ridiculous, I guess. So I haven't had, people don't really get too offended because there's not much, I don't quite ever get in that territory where it's too tough. I guess if I made a joke like about an allergen in food and someone said, well, I have an allergy, but that's, Right. I'm the least of your problems. I'm just some guy on Twitter and Facebook. There's much bigger people to deal with than like the media.
Yeah. One of my, I guess it was timely. It was good. I like the joke. And it was one that was like, I wonder if someone would get uptight about this. Where it was, oh, do you enjoy true crime podcasts? Because we're the home of 17 unsolved murders. And like, there's a good chunk of dark humor in me that really enjoyed that one.
Yeah, I do. I mean, people dying in theme parks is funny. It's the old, the comedy, tragedy plus time sort of thing equation works there. So if there's ever an accident, a real accident that is actually fatal in the park, no jokes were made about that. There's a good gap I leave around that. Other things can be happening in the park. That does not happen. For example, things being on fire. It seems to be a funny, safe way to talk about things. Yeah. As opposed to someone. People losing like their fingers is different than dying. Things like animals getting loose and things like that. But it's never too. It's never too realistic of people dying. And again, if anything happens in the real news, I don't get anywhere near that. Mm-hmm. And the way around with animals, they're never abused. Right. They always are the ones attacking people.
We have it coming anyways. I wanted to touch on your background. You've mentioned it a couple times, with improv and things, because like one thing I found, especially with the OMB Twitter, we don't tweet too often. And there was a while when I was trying to, and I was like, I'm going to be Mr. Funny Guy, and I'm going to tweet funny things about comics. And like, I just found a lot of the stuff that I was saying was just forced. It was garbage. It was nothing. I was like, I'd rather this just come organically. And it just so happens that when organic things come to my head on Twitter, it's once every 7 months. So, so I got to applaud, the volume that you put out and the fact that it's consistent and it's funny and it's good. So that, I guess that speaks to your background and also like your abilities. What you mentioned improv, like where does this come from?
Well, first of all, thank you. That's very nice to hear. I just try to be funny every day. That's really good and make people laugh. And if there's a point to it, or they have some think about something, all the better. but mostly it reflects their experience. I'm happy. So, I mean, in a nutshell, I went to USC, University of Southern California, in Los Angeles. I studied theater and film. I wanted to be an actor, which is why I got the job at Universal. Why I took the job. I mean, not why I got it, but because they let you go for auditions. A lot of people in the tour department are actors, along with some comics, musicians, and things like that. And had a few successes in acting here and there, not much. And turned to writing, which is even less, harder to do in a lot of ways. I did do improv. It was an improv troupe at school, and then we became a professional troupe and did things around LA. And actually, we get like a little bit of money, got a cut of the door every week at some clubs around LA. I went to the second city, Hollywood. Not the second city in Chicago with all the famous names like Tina Fey. The one in LA with less famous names. Went through the whole year-long program and was in some shows there. And then have been basically writing with a partner and alone, screenplays, pilots, most things that don't go anywhere. Smaller things have gone places like videos and shorts, things like that have done okay. I actually have a film coming out next year that I actually was hired to write, a little low budget fantasy adventure that's coming out in 2020. So that's maybe the start of something big. But I like creating content. I like writing. I like producing. I make videos and things like that. Even these fun things like you say, this escalator video or the princess video is just something that doesn't need to exist. But I put it out there, and now it exists forever until the internet finally collapses. Uh-huh. So yes, it helps my sort of writing exercise. To be doing it every day, try to be funny every day, it does help. I think. I hope.
One of my friends and one of the makeup artists that works with me, she's been working on her own YouTube video series, and I forgot I said this to her, but she's like, at one point I told her that bad content is better than no content. so it's better that you put something out instead of nothing, because no one's ever going to see nothing. And so at least maybe someone will see something that's kind of bad. Occasionally something good will come out of it.
I fully agree. There's certainly, as an artist, whatever it is you're doing, if I could have one piece of advice for people, is just to do it. In this era, even in college, this was before a lot of these things. There was no YouTube. I was in a comedy troupe right before YouTube, so that's a whole different story now. We had to have people come to our shows. We had to have showcases and give out flyers, have agents come see us. It wasn't YouTube to do that. So yes, I fully believe now with all kinds of with the internet and even beyond that, with things like podcasts, people should try doing it. It made me terrible. It made an audience of 7, but if it's fulfilling, if it's entertaining people, it might lead to 17 and 70 and 700. So yeah, with something like Twitter, if a joke doesn't do well, what did it cost me? If people hate it, unless they tweet at me, they hate it. I might probably just ignore it. You just won't get a lot of retweets and likes, and believe me, that happens every day. Some tweet is just a dud, and so I learned maybe it was the wrong time of day, maybe it was the wrong way of telling the joke, maybe it was just not funny, period. So you get some feedback and just keep doing it. Twitter is so easily forgotten that you might as well put the jokes out there, or whatever it is. If it's not jokes, if it's trying to make a point or trying to tell a story, I say go for it. Use YouTube, use Tumblr, use Instagram, whatever it is you're trying to do, and write your own ticket.
I mean, it speaks to people are clearly reacting to what you're putting out there. I mean, Twitter currently at almost 11,000 followers. Facebook, it looks like you're coming up on 4,000 followers, which Facebook, it's amazing if you can get people to like it, let alone see it. Mm-hmm. So it speaks a lot to getting a couple thousand people following you on there. So people, obviously, they're digging it. I mean, I see in your followers alone 6 people that I used to work with at our theme park, and not even many of my friends are even on Twitter. So you pretty much got all of them. And this is I haven't even talked to them about it yet. So that was from them finding you.
Do you have any plans or maybe wishes of trying to get some collaboration going? Because it would be really fun to see Defunctland do a piece on Fake Theme Park.
Yes, I'm open. I know Defunctland. I'm open to a lot. Originally I was anonymous. That made things a little difficult. Mm-hmm. Even when the music video, the name on the video, who's me, is not my real name. Although everyone else is credited, the real people that helped me do it. Mm-hmm. And that was a collaboration in a sense. I had to find a composer. I had to hire a composer. I couldn't write the song myself.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of my friends pitched in, so that didn't cost me much, but actually cost me money and for nothing. There's no ads on that or anything. that's the love I put into this. So yes, I'm open to discussing, especially things if we're doing in-kind services where no one has to spend or lose any money.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to me. I am open. So yeah, I'm open to video, to print, to audio like this, like these podcasts. Yes, whatever, any way to bring this to a new audience. I'm happy to try new things.
Even if I could see like Defunctland do like an April Fool's episode, that'd be fun.
On Fake Theme Park.
That'd be really fun.
Every natural disaster known to man hit it on the same day.
Yes, that's. Oh, sorry. Go on.
No, you go. Go ahead.
The one day a year that is a bit odd for Fake Theme Park is April Fool's Day, where I have to make sort of a meta joke, almost a meta joke, I guess, about beware of fake accounts, basically. Beware of fake theme parks masquerading as real park. What else can I do? It's the one weird day of the year.
You said the name earlier, and you were mentioning it just recently about how Jason was anonymous, and when you would do talks, you would do it as Murph Gantley. Is that the correct name? Did I say that right?
That is the correct name, yeah.
And so what I like about this is, as Jared said, we're in the entertainment department, and for Halloween we have to, I have to become characters, right? Help people do makeup and help them find characters. And I've done some silly Facebook things myself. And so the idea of like creating a personality to direct, through to talk to people as, that sounds like a lot of fun. It sounds also at times possibly like stressful. Because if someone is asking your character a question, like you don't have it, you just gotta make it up somehow. Which I mean, when I'm sorry, I'm talking too much. When we get new actors at our park and they're not good at Halloween yet, and then they ask me, "How'd you come up with that line about someone asked the zombie if he's on Facebook?" And you reply, "My book of faces, and I have 35 pages because I take your face off. I put it in my book." And then he goes, "How'd you come up with that?" And I go, "I made it up. That's our job. We're actors. Just that's what you're supposed to do, kid." And they go, "Oh, that's what we're doing. We're not just yelling and going raw." It's like, no. And so with your character, it's like, would you have a script, or would you know like all the things you want to talk about?
Yes. The reason he came about was I was anonymous, and there's only so many characters I could do. Ideally, I'd be a princess. That wasn't going to fly. Being a cast member didn't make any sense. Being like Jimmy Jaguar talking with a high voice, I didn't want to do that. So I feel like with a CEO, I can do a cranky old guy. Mm-hmm. That's easy. So that's where that character came from. And yeah, I use my improv background to improvise when needed. But yes, often the host of the podcast will say, "We're going to talk about Christmas." And I had, 2 weeks then to think about Christmas. I'm not going to say that I wrote jokes out for me to read verbatim, of course. But I'll say I actually would have, knew where things were going. They would ask certain questions. I could steer things. I learned about how to be a politician, how to steer things to your talking points. Mm-hmm. So you can find a way to get across with the joke you're trying to get across. And they asked the wrong quote unquote question. So it was a fun exercise doing that, of improvising in this crazy character and saying whatever I want. It was kind of liberating to be this lunatic and to get his point of view of how the park is a money-making venture for him, and he cares nothing about guests and even less about cast members.
And what's not to say you're correct in that, but the idea of it, I'll get there. the idea of like the owner being like this weird, crazy old man. Not to say that like all owners don't care about their employees. What I mean is that like a lot of them are kind of nutty. And I will say there are stories about our local theme park's original owner would occasionally just shotgun raccoons on the middle of the midway while the park's open, while guests are around. But this was many, many, many years ago. And it's just like, oh, crazy old man's out with a shotgun. It must be wildlife around.
He's also the owner.
That's just what he would do.
Different time.
Yep.
But I mean that was also
certain...
Oh, go ahead.
there's a certain type of maybe even the cast member level, a certain type of person that is drawn to making that their life. That theme park is their life. I kind of think I was there a long time, but I thought, why do I want to go back to Universal or Disney or anywhere? It's kind of this strange make-believe world that can be, all the cliches of being sort of seductive and it's not real and it messes with you. I think if you're in management, it's even more so. Where you're dealing with both the real world of like keeping the thing afloat and making money, but also what's the way we can, trick people? How do we? Universal, I always said, was with all these false emergencies. There's a false earthquake, there's a false King Kong. There's like police announcements in Universal. That's not real. You're not really in danger. It's kind of, it's after real disasters. It's kind of weird to be in a theme park. These things really do happen. We do. Things happen to the space shuttle. These space disasters are not just fun anymore. It's messed up. So I think if you're in management, it might eventually kind of, go to your brain that this has been your entire life, and you just live in this sort of unreality.
I can speak to that. Like I can at least get down with that. Like I remember back was it my second season? I can't remember, but like, no, it was my second season. My of 2 whole seasons that I spent at the park. The second season I had another job. I had my other, like, while the park is closed, gotta work somewhere else. You gotta make money. And, when the park is open, I gotta work there every now and then so that I don't lose my other job. I can go work at the park, but then I gotta go work my other, like,
I call it my fun job and my hate job.
Yeah. And like I didn't hate the other job, but it wasn't nearly as fun. I wasn't surrounded by my best friends. I didn't get to like experience, like there was a certain freedom that we had, at the theme park job, whereas at grown up job, responsibility job is just, I guess I'll go to work. And like they'd always, I can only work Tuesdays, and then can you come in extra day? And I was like, no, man, because I'm doing my cool job. I'm doing my the fun one. But like I get it. It's like almost like we talk a lot about post-con depression. Like when we go to like conventions, shows, or something like that. When you spend a couple days there, and when you get home, you're back to the real world. You're back to real life. And it sucks, and you're depressed, and you're bummed, and I think it's kind of goes hand in hand with working at an amusement park. The correct one, surrounded by the correct people. It can kind of take you out of reality a little bit, and I think for some people that's a good thing.
Yeah, a lot of us liken it to college. There's a lot of young people who had this sort of not real job. It was important to the guests who were there for the once in their lifetime from Idaho. Yeah, it was important, but it was still just a silly job. And what was great was at the end of the day, you were done. Probably all of our real jobs, there's stuff waiting for you in the morning. There's stuff where you have to work at night. But once you clock out, because it was an hourly union job, that was it. There was no like paperwork. It wasn't like I have to write an email. Once you say goodbye to the guests, then you're done. And that's kind of liberating. So it's not at all. It's terrible practice for having a real job. It is unlike it in every respect. It's the opposite of a real job.
Yep.
You're working outdoors all the time. You don't have a desk. You don't have a phone. I mean, back then we had to sneak away to talk on your phone. When I say at my desk, I can do whatever I want. Who cares? It really is. Everyone should almost do it once. I feel like everyone should be in a theme park job, even for a summer or for a year, just to have that fun experience, and maybe better value having a desk job. We're like, well, I'm just indoors all the time. No, try working outdoors all the time. Even in LA.
I mean, it does wonders on the body. My first season, I lost like 25, 30 pounds just from working in the sun all day. Like it was the best thing that ever happened to me at that point.
I will, like, as you said, we're entertainment department, so like we get to know the actors, the performers. So when I go to a different park or a different theme, I'm never gonna harass Dr. Doom or Minnie Mouse, because at any time they're my friends.
Yeah.
And why would I do that? Whereas, for regular guests, or sometimes we'll complain about like, the drunk people or whatever, they just think it's just some buffoon inside a costume. It's like, no, I had lunch with them. They came over to my house. They helped me change a tire. It's stuff like that. It's like, relax, buddy.
Yeah, the magic term Disney has some ownership over is a real thing. One of my many jobs beyond being a tour guide there, as I was in guest relations and responded to letters. Not people in person coming in, yet email and real mail. And email was the dominant thing. And people had all kinds of complaints and even just basic questions. But there were the ones of like my 4-year-old autistic child met Spider-Man. It was the best thing in the world for him. And, these things were very touching. Even these properties, you think like, who cares about Shrek? Is Shrek really that endearing? Shrek is not Mickey Mouse. Mickey Mouse is in the stratosphere. Shrek is just this thing that's like a joke of fairy tales. And yet people, have these amazing experiences with it. It means something to them. It means something to their kid. And so I wasn't really necessarily part of that. I wasn't a character except for like one summer. But it's a real thing. And so, yeah, to anyone, both the guests or if you're a cast member and you don't want to do it anymore, you should leave. And that was my problem. I stayed a little too long. But once it's not fun anymore, it's useless. If it's not fun to you, you're a detriment to the park. Mm-hmm. You're off brand. So leave. There's my message, everybody out there.
Jason, as we get toward the end here, before we wrap up, we've been mentioning your book, your sites, your pages. Where can people find Fake Theme Park, find you, find your stuff? If they want to find everything that you're making, how about if you wouldn't mind just kind of plugging yourself a little bit?
Oh, I would not mind. Fake Theme Park certainly doesn't mind. Fake Theme Park is relentless and will relentlessly promote this interview, I guarantee, more than I will. So yes, it's all one word, Fake Theme Park, on Twitter and Facebook. Also, there's YouTube, which has these 2 videos we've been talking about, the princess video and the escalator audio. There is, if you can write this out, fakethemepark.contently.com. It's kind of a storehouse of a lot of lists and things. We want a list of rides, a list of shows. Some of that is in the ebook as well, but we want to kind of get an idea of what's happening, as well as things like interviews that I've done. I don't have a website. The closest thing I have to a website is that, fakethemepark.contently, like contently.com. And then, if you'd like to throw some money my way, on Kindle, it's Kindle only, I'm afraid. If the princess rolls her eyes, your wish will come true. So you should be able to search for that, search for Fake Theme Park, search for my name, Jason Ginsburg, on Amazon. And it's a purple cover with the princess yawning on the cover. We're talking about some new material, classic material, stuff that's only in the ebooks, and visual content. It's not just a bunch of tweets. There's all kinds of fun things in there. For $5, if you have Kindle Unlimited, it is free. You're already paying for a Kindle subscription. It's part of that subscription. So yeah, if the princess rolls her eyes, your wish will come true. I think that's all the places you can find. If you want to find me, at Ginsburg, Ginsburg. I'm on Twitter on Twitter as well. If you want to see my ramblings about sci-fi and space, and my writing, things like that, feel free. And again, if people want to talk to Fake Theme Park, ask questions, have fun with me, even want to collaborate on something in some other medium besides Twitter, I'm open to that. Let's talk. No request is too stupid to at least entertain for a few minutes. So yeah, do talk to me however you want in any capacity on these. It is social media after all, so please feel free to clap back.
Be social.
Be social and socialize.
Yes.
Jason, thank you so much for coming on. This was a lot of fun. It got my nostalgic sensors going. Makes me miss the good old days. Working with my best friends every day. But congratulations on all the success of Fake Theme Park. I can't wait to see what hilarious tweets and posts and all that stuff come out next to help me. And I'm gonna read it and I'm gonna nod and I'm gonna go, "Yep, that's true. Yep, that's true. That's true." And then all my friends are gonna do it as well. But this was a lot of fun, man. Thank you so much for coming on.
My pleasure. It was a lot of fun for me as well. Thank you for having me.
Excellent. That's going to do it for this week. Again, check out Fake Theme Park everywhere on all the social mediums. Let Jason know how much you enjoy it. And that's going to do it for this week. So until next time, I have been JR.
I'm Alex.
And I'm Jason Ginsburg.
And this has been episode 363 of Opinions May Vary.